Didn't check timing at all. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa salim. Wa nata'allama wa ta'alim wa tadhakkura wa tazkir wa nafa' wa lintifa' wa lifada wa listifada wal hatha ala tamassuki bi kitabillahi wa sunnati rasulih sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa du'a ila al-huda wa dalala al khair ibtigha'a wajhillah wa mardatihi wa qurbihi wa thawabihi subhanahu wa ta'ala مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدنيا ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Okay, we start our class. So inshallah we are on page 39. For your exam, I'm gonna try and finish. See if I can finish it or not. But I'm gonna try to finish up till. It's a lot more. But I'm really gonna try to finish the chapter on tahara, so that next semester we can go right into solat, inshallah. Okay, chapter number 9, page 39, page 39, 39. All the way up. There? No. Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter on the matters that are offensive for the one taking ablution or obligatory bath. فصل يكره الإسراف في الصب والغسل والوضوء في الماء الراكد والزيادة على 3 وترك المضمضة والاستنشاق ويكره للجنوب الأكل والشرب والنوم والجماع قبل غسل الفرج والوضوء وكذا منقطعة الحيض والنفاس. Okay, نعم. So the chapter on what things that are offensive for the one taking ablution or the obligatory bath. Alright, it is offensive to use excessive water when taking wudu, tamam, or during bath. May Allah help us, For wudu, okay lah, I think can still control. I think when you take bath, like our definition of excessive is different from the definition of excessive in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because you all just bathe with a lot of water. But actually, by right, our way of bathing is excessive. And it's too much water that is used in all this continuous showering. Now, Allahu Alam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach us how to use less of the water. And then performing the obligatory bath, from stagnant water. It is offensive to use from stagnant water because there's a possibility of you making the water musta'mal. Of the water that holds the hadas to fall into the stagnant water, then making it musta'mal is makruh, right, to do so. It is also makruh to wash more than 3 times for your wudu, because that falls under israf, it falls under wasting, right? And Rasulullah, once he took wudu and he washed every part 3 times, and then he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whosoever increases or decreases from this, then he is not of me, meaning he has not followed my way. Right? So don't go less than 3, don't go more than 3, right? But 3, just 3, right? Inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right? And then the omission of gargling and the omission of absorption of water through the nose, or breathing of water through the nose, right? That one is also makruh. So basically, to fail to perform sunnah is makruh. To fail to perform sunnah is makruh. And then it is makruh as well when in a state of major ritual impurity to eat, drink, sleep, or have intercourse with the spouse before washing their private parts and subsequently take their ablution. So this is state of major impurity, meaning janaba, tamam, or junub. So unlike the word, so as mentioned earlier on, that there is a difference between the rulings for the one in junub and the one in haid and nifas. Okay, of course, if you are in haid and nifas, there is no makruhness to eat, drink, and sleep. You're going to do it all the time, then. But it becomes makruh for the one who has finished haid and nifas, right? Munqati'ah for the one who has finished their haid and nifas and have not bathed. And because you should hasten to the bath once you have finished your menses. And you shouldn't be sitting there, being in major hadas when you don't have to be. That's the principle behind it. The principle is don't prolong the state of major hadath, because that prevents angels from coming close to you. So don't prolong the state. Of course, in menses itself, you have no choice. So of course, inshallah, they will come near us in our menses. But when you have a choice to remove the state of major hadath, you should ASAP remove the state of major hadath. And so for those who are married, right, so especially this part on sleep. Okay, so if they have intercourse in the night, right, to actually get up, go and istinja, right, istinja, and then do wudu, and then come back and sleep. If you don't want to take a full bath, take a full bath is better for you. But if you don't want to take a full bath, you're so sleepy, so cold, you're like, you don't want to sleep in janaba, you don't want to sleep in junub. So at least go and istinja and go and take a wudu, at least, and then go and sleep if you want to. But of course, if you're able to, then take a full bath lah. And to me, like if let's say you're in janaba, right, if I'm in the toilet anyway to perform the sunnah of istinja and wudu, then I'll be like, might as well take a bath. It's not so hard to take a bath, especially if you just do the wajib of the bath, just to remove the state of junub, just to remove it. Just do the wajib, part whereby water goes everywhere. At least you don't sleep in janaba, even if you want to take you don't want to go through the entire process of bath, which you can if you want to, and they do the sunnahs. And now you're like in the time in the bathroom, I must take a bath. So I'm taking the bath, might as well do all the sunnahs, right? Why am I wasting my time not doing sunnahs? Anyway, end up doing the entire thing full. Subhanallah. Or to intercourse again before washing the private parts or taking ablution. So basically, when a couple have intercourse, it's sunnah that after the first time intercourse to go and istinja and to go and wudu, and then if you want to have it again, they can do it again, right? However, to do intercourse on top of intercourse without any washing in between is makruh. Right? It's makruh to do. This also applies for people who have completed their menstruation, their haid and their nifas, and have yet to perform the obligatory bath. It's makruh for them to be eating, drinking, and having, it's haram to have intercourse. It's makruh for the one who has finished menses or nifas to eat, drink, and sleep. It's haram for them to have intercourse. Right? A woman can only have intercourse with her husband when she has bathed from her menses. She must have bathed from her menses, then she can have intercourse. If she has intercourse before she bathes, saying that, oh, but I already finished my menses, there's no more blood coming out, there's no more discharge coming out, it's clean, it's white. So a woman might think that, okay, I have intercourse with my husband first, then I bathe one shot. I just bathe one go. From janaba and from menses, no, haram. Haram. Right? She needs to bathe from menses, then she can go to her husband. And she cannot have intercourse with her husband while she has not bathed from her menses. Okay? Major sin, dosa besar. Right? It's a major sin to do that. Alhamdulillah. The next part, Babun Najasa. Okay, now. And there's a commentary on the previous part, right? Like in Ramadan, if your menses ends in the daytime of Ramadan, right, and then you take a bath, right, it is sunnah for you to perform imsak. And imsak is basically to avoid eating and drinking for the rest of the day until Maghrib. Right, so even if, let's say, you finish your menses at 10 a.m. in the morning, right, so technically that day is not counted for you, because you didn't begin the day fasting, right? But you ended your menses at 10 a.m. In the morning, right? So it's sunnah for you that after you take the bath, right, for you to continue till Maghrib without eating and drinking, as if you are fasting. It's sunnah to do so. Of course, you must make up that day again, but I was teaching this to some of the teenagers, and they were like, then if it is sunnah for you to perform imsak, right, to perform imsak of once you have bathed from menses, and that day is not counted for you anyway. And they were saying that, what if I finish menses already, before I bathe I eat all that I want to eat first? Because after bathing is not to actually imsak. She was like, so after before I bathe, right, the heck like that, right, before I bathe, I will go and eat and drink and consume what I want to consume. Then I take my bath, then I imsak. Like, since you're not fasting the day anyway, right? And I said to her, well, going by this ruling over here, is makruh for a woman who has finished her menses to actually eat and drink until she bathes. Right? So you're now between two makruhs. The makruh of continue to eating and drinking the day of Ramadan even though you are already clean, that is makruh to do, or the makruh of eating and drinking before you take a bath from menses. They're both makruh. You mean two makruhs. So basically, tahan your eating and drinking. You don't have to eat and drink. You won't die. Right? Just you see yourself clean, go and bathe, and just don't eat lah until Maghrib. It won't kill you. You don't have to no, because this whole day I don't have to fast, so I need to eat as much as I want before I bathe. Right now, but mashallah, she was like, no, I can just do that, right? Eat and all I want, then I bathe. And then I imsak. She said, no, you eat all you want before bathing, also makruh. Both makruh. Everything all makruh. Mashallah. Yeah, so don't do that. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, Babun Najasa. Babun Najasa. Chapter on filth and ways to purify them or to remove them. Let me just brief you the definition of Najasa. Okay. Allah. Is that the Arabic word? Something like that. It's not there. Okay, now. Okay, filth. By the language, anything. It's not stupid. Anything disgusting. Literally, there's a definition of najasa by the language. Anything disgusting. No, disgusting. Anything disgusting. Okay, so by definition, by the linguistic definition, you can even call your saliva najasa. By the language and not by Sharia. Don't go around saying Zafana says saliva is najasa, right? But what we mean is by the language. What is najis? So if you read like an Arabic book and they say nukhama najasa, nukham is your ingos, right? The what do you call it? The mucus or the phlegm, the phlegm. So if someone says najasa, what they mean is disgusting, right? Something disgusting. So najasa lughatan kullu mustahqir or mustahqar is anything that is disgusting. That's by the language, right? By the Sharia, the Sharia extends it. And the Sharia is anything disgusting that prevents the validity Allah. Anything disgusting that prevents the validity of prayer. And the validity of prayer. Okay. Anything disgusting that prevents the validity of prayer. So from a linguistic meaning, saliva is najasa, mucus, phlegm, they're all najasa. but are they najasa by the Sharia? No. Right? These things do not prevent the validity of the prayer. They are not najasa by the Sharia. Right? So like blood is najasa by the Sharia because it prevents the validity of prayer. Alcohol, specifically ethanol, right? What the alcohol that is used to drinking alcohol, that one is najasa, right? So in that case, a lot of alcohols in products, like like hand sanitizer, all kind of creams and stuff like that, they have alcohols in them that are not ethanol. It's the alcohols, right, from the family of the alcohols. So in chemistry, you will learn in secondary school, you learn in chemistry that the alcohols, the alcohol group, right? So a lot of manufactured chemicals that have alcohols in them are not ethanol, but they have some other form of alcohol, right? But they're not actually ethanol. Right? So specifically ethanol. Okay, so ethanol is najasa, and some scholars even say ethanol that is meant for drinking, and drinking ethanol. Oh, Allah Alam. So like the one in the lab, there are those who say the one in the lab whereby used to sanitize the tabletop and stuff like that. Those say the one is not for drinking, but it's for experimentation. Allah Alam. But you can of course can go into it more to be more careful with the alcohol. So same thing about perfumes. The perfumes that they have ethanol in them. So stay away from perfumes that have ethanol. Now, okay, and just go by the ones that have that is either water based or oil based perfumes. Okay, so najasat enam. Right, so okay, so the first thing among the things which are filthy, right, are alcoholic beverages made from the fermentation of grapes, even when it's respected. Respected meaning it was made so that you can make vinegar. Okay, so that's the meaning of respected alcohol. It's respected alcohol because it is made to not make alcohol but to make vinegar. The intention formation of it is to make vinegar, which goes through 3 stages. The second stage is alcoholic. Non-respected is that the fermentation is to produce alcohol, and this makes a lot of difference. If someone made alcohol with the intention of alcohol, the entire thing is najis, and it's impermissible for you to change it into vinegar. It's impermissible because the intention matters. So when somebody ferments grapes with the niyat to make alcohol, that alcohol is najis and not halal. If that alcohol is later on made into vinegar, it's not halal. You cannot consume the alcohol that was made with the intention of alcohol. But if alcohol that was made with the intention of vinegar, that alcohol is not najis, and that alcohol is najis. Yes, it's najis, but the alcohol is halal when it becomes vinegar. Okay, the vinegar is permissible to consume because the alcohol that it came from was made for the very reason of vinegar, for the whole purpose of vinegar. Okay, so in the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, when the law of alcohol finally came down to make haram, forbidden all alcohols, the companions had come up to Rasulullah and said, Ya Rasulullah, we have barrels of alcohol in our homes. Barrels of, they used to make dates, dates and make alcohol. The barrels of alcohol in our homes, can we just leave them out to oxidize and then they turn to vinegar? And Rasulullah said no. You are not allowed to use that alcohol to make into vinegar because that alcohol was made with the intention of alcohol and not with the intention of vinegar. So the entire of Medina threw out that alcohol. It's najis. They have to throw it out. And then if they want to make vinegar, then they must restart from the asir, the juice of grapes, and then make vinegar. And alcohol is one of the steps of vinegar making. But you're not intending alcohol, you're intending vinegar. This is because here the niyat makes something halal or haram. Just the niyat, mashallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, right. So and also alcoholic beverages intoxicating and liquid forms made from raisins. Right, so basically anything that is in any intoxicating liquid, right, alcoholic, it has to be alcoholic, right, then these are all haram, right, for us to these are all haram to consume, of course, and they're all najis, right, on a person. So usually when when you want to pray and everything, avoid, actually not just praying, altogether avoid those perfumes that are alcoholic based. Completely avoid them. Just completely avoid alcoholic based perfumes. Think about it. You know, even though someone might say there's a khilaf between the scholars, so that there's a difference of opinion between the scholars as to alcohol in perfumes, you don't need it, you know. You think about it, right? Must you really use alcoholic perfumes? Can't you just use, you know, atar, like oil based perfumes? And I know of shops where they sell water based perfumes that smell exactly like the alcoholic types. And you can use those as well if you want to. And just avoid because there's a qaida, there is a principle in fiqh that to avoid the khilaf itself is sunnah. To avoid difference of opinion itself is sunnah. So if one opinion says alcohol in perfumes are okay, the other opinion says no, not okay, they're najis, then what do? Just avoid it altogether. So when you avoid it altogether, you actually you are sah, or you are valid in both schools, right? You are valid in both schools. So do that. So be in an area whereby all around valid. So don't put yourself in a position whereby one will say haram, the other one will say makruh, or say halal. Stay out of the entire thing. Okay, it won't kill you to stop buying alcoholic perfumes, right? In fact, they're very expensive. Stop buying them. Just buy the oil one. It's easier, and you support local businesses, or you support Muslim businesses instead of buying all these really expensive brands, right, of alcoholic perfumes. All just the rich getting richer, all under your own morality lah, inshallah. Okay, okay. So dogs, pigs, and their progeny from either one of them, right, is all najis, and in fact major najis, mughalladha, dogs, pigs, and their progeny. So progeny meaning that if, let's say, the male was a dog or the male was a pig, right, or the female, either one, and then they crossbreed, right, and bred from a different species, and an animal came out of that mating, right, that animal takes the ruling of najis mughalladha, right, major najis. Okay, so that's what a dog were to Allahu alam, if a dog were to mate with I don't know what the dogs are going to mate with. Maybe if a dog were to mate with a cheetah, for example, okay, cheetahs are feline. If someone or science may say that the dog were to mate the cheetah, and an animal comes out of it, right, that animal has a ruling of dog. Okay, the ruling of dog. And then also pig, same thing. If a pig were to mate with an animal, which I don't know if it happens, no, but of course, but we know that scholars say something because it has happened, and so that they speak about crossbreeds, meaning that it has happened, and the ruling came up is this ruling of the non-mughallaza animal or the mughallaza animal, and then the scholars say that the mughallaza will overtake everything. Right, so dogs and what comes out of them, corpses, meaning carcasses, not corpses, carcasses. Al-mayta, because corpses are specifically for human. So dead living things, Right, so except for humans, fishes and grasshoppers. Right, so grasshoppers or locusts in this case. Jarad is a locust. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And human beings, all human beings, their bodies are sacred. It is not najis. They're all sacred, even a disbeliever. Right? The body is not najis. And to honor human beings by burying them. Okay. Blood, pus, vomit, filth of humans and animals, and urine. right? So all of this fall under najis. And here also, here at the bottom, here also, while parts of the animal, if the animal dies, the entire animal is najis, right? Or parts of animals that are non-edible. Okay, parts of animals that are the animal is non-edible. So, for example, ivory, right? So ivory is from the tusk of an elephant. Elephants are not halal. Elephants are not halal. Right, so the tusk of an elephant, ivory, is najis. Is najis. Ivory is najis. Right, similarly, like the horn of a rhinoceros, the animals that are not edible. Animals that are not edible, parts of them that have been severed, right, are also najis. Okay. Alright. Blood, okay, pre-seminal fluid, madhi, and the wadi of a woman, right? So madhi can happen to men as well. Madhi is a arousal fluid, So all najis, right, becomes out of you. I've gone through, right, the entire thing about discharge and everything several times, correct? About a whole story of discharge. If you need me to go through it again, tell me again. I'll go through it again. With what is the discharge that is najis, what is not najis, what nullifies my wudu, is nullify wudu, and so on. Okay, a liquid that changes and flows from the mouth of a person sleeping. Okay, liquid that changes and flows from the mouth of a person sleeping. In our culture, we call it alio basi, right? When you sleep and there's drool that comes out of a person's mouth that changes in its smell, right? Because it changes in its smell, that's a sign that this fluid came from the stomach. Okay, it's a sign that it came from the stomach because there's a smell to it. So it's smelly, right? Smelly fluid from the mouth. So not saliva per se, right? But when you sleep, there's a possibility of the fluids from the stomach coming up, right? And then falling out of your mouth, right? That one is has a ruling of vomit, so it's najis, right, on the person. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to speak about the blood a bit. So for blood, right, all blood is najis except for blood that is in the liver that you want to eat. So not that you eat liver raw, but you wash. And so when you wash the liver of an animal, of course, of a goat or a cow, liver itself is bloody, right? There's a lot of blood inside liver, so it's impossible to remove all the blood. It's impossible, right? So when you cook that, you are allowed to eat it. It's not najis anymore, right? Similarly, the musk, right? Musk is from the deer. What musk is that the deer, right, will form a growth on its body, and this growth will be on the legs of the deer. So the deer will go to a tree and it will rub itself on that tree, right? Because it's itchy. That growth is itchy. It will rub itself on that tree until the growth falls off, right? It gets gets plucked off, right, from the deer. Okay, this growth has fluid inside, like it's pus lah, basically it's pus. It's fluid inside, it's pus, but it smells very nice. It's musk. Right, so musk is technically the pus of deers. Right, the pus of deers. Right, but it's not najis. It's not najis. Right, the pus of deers in that way is not najis. It's all the blood. It's from the blood of the pus. Pus is basically blood. Right, pus, the yellow thing that comes out is blood. Right, so that one is najis. And so the pus of blood, the musk is not najis. Naam. Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, and also vomit and then filth of human or animals, meaning of dung, right? Dung from human or animals, all najis. And then urine, right? And then the madhi, right, of the madhi of a man or a woman, this arousal fluid, or the wadi. The wadi is the white fluid that comes from inside your womb, right? It usually comes out after you urinate, or when you carry something heavy, or when you walk a long distance. That's when the wadi comes out. The madi comes out whenever someone is sexually aroused. Now, okay. Okay, semen of dogs and pigs are najis, right? Because usually semen is not najis. Semen is pure because life is created from semen. And semen is not najis, but the coming out of semen will result in you having to go and take a bath, take the compulsory bath. Right, so but the semen of dogs and pigs are najis because everything about dogs and pigs are najis. Everything about dogs and pigs are najis. The milk of animals that cannot be eaten is najis, except the milk of human beings. Right, so for example, a cat. So if a cat is feeding its young, its baby kittens, and milk falls out of that cat's, the cat's in the nipples, right, and then the milk falls onto the ground, that milk that came out of the cat is najis. Najis. I remember that day I was with one of my students, and then I was going to pray. When I looked at my prayer garment, there was my cat's claw. Because she sharpens her claw on the carpet, her claw comes out. She's an old cat. Her claw comes off. So I saw a claw on my on my garment, cat claw. As I picked it up, the claw, and I just threw it away. And I said, I have to remove this because it's najis. And she was like, how is a cat's claw najis? Because the cat is not an edible animal. It's not a halal animal to eat, right? And the claw is part of the cat. So when the claw is detached from the cat, the claw now becomes najis. Okay, as we mentioned before about cat fur. So cat fur, same thing, right? It is in abundance. That means more than 3 strands is najis, right? So what you can do if you keep a cat, and I have 2 cats on me, and I have a long-haired cat also. Very difficult long-haired cats, right? But someone give it to me. So so for cats, right, what you can do is keep your sajada clean of them. Okay, keep folding your sajada. Don't allow them to be on your sajada, right? Because when it comes to prayer, it is badan wal thawb wal makan, your body and your clothing and the place whereby you pray, specifically where you put your hands and your knees and your feet. Only those parts. Alright? So if let's say I have cat and then a cat fur everywhere, right? I have a specific sajada that I will put down on the ground, covering the carpet. And so even if there's cat fur on the carpet, it does not affect me because the sajada itself is clean. So I'm not doing sujood or ruku directly onto najis, but I'm doing onto the clean sajada. And then make sure your prayer garment is always clean, right? Of fur, try to remove as much as you can. And what you can't see or what you can't notice, then inshallah is forgiven, inshallah. Okay, the clot of blood and a piece of flesh and the wetness of human private parts is deemed pure. Okay, here the clot of blood and piece of flesh, wal alaqatu wal mudghatu, these are parts of a fetus. Wondering what clot of blood and piece of flesh? It means fetus. Alaqa and mudgha, they are different parts in the development of a fetus. Right, so these are things whereby and the wetness of human private parts. Here they say warutubatul farj. Rutubatul farj is the discharge we spoke about that is not najis. It's called rutubatul farj. It means that the wetness of the private parts of a woman specifically, that's not from the womb. It's not from the womb. That wetness is natural and it's for your health. That is clean. Yeah, it is clean. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad. So let me start anything. Okay, so anything that is human, like the alaqa is human, the mudgha is human, the mani is human, it is human origin, they're all clean. Whatever is human in origin, they're all clean. It is the blood that makes it najis, and the blood that comes out with it. Okay, then part of a body that is dismembered from a living organism is considered filth, just like a corpse, except for the hair, feather of cranes, fur of cattle, hair of human beings, the hair of human beings, or hair of animals that can be eaten, right? Fur of camels and the likes from amongst animals that can be eaten, they're all deemed pure. So whatever is dismembered or broken off from an animal that can be eaten, there's a halal animal, then all of this is pure. And whatever is broken off from animals that are not edible, not halal, then there is najis. Okay. Right. Inshallah, okay, I'll just finish this part very quickly. Right, najis, something that is najis in its original form cannot be made non-najis except for 3 types. The first type is alcohol oxidized to become vinegar naturally on the condition that alcohol was not made for the purpose of alcohol, but the alcohol is made for the purpose of vinegar. That's the first one. The second one is skin of carcasses of animals. They have become pure after tanning the outer and inner surfaces. Right, so carcasses meaning that those that are not slaughtered correctly, because the one that is slaughtered correctly, they are not najis. They are food, right, for us to eat. Right, but the ones who are like not slaughtered correctly and then they become carcasses, right, that you can make them go make this skin undergo forms of tanning, right, by which it becomes pure for you to use in the home. Right, so you can use substances on it for it to remove its najis. And anything that changes carcasses into worms. Here. وَمَا صَارَ حَيَوَانًا. Right, وَمَا صَارَ حَيَوَانًا. Let me just change the English there. And everything that changes to animals. You might wonder what does this mean? Okay, what this means is that if an animal dies, right, and then comes maggots and worms and whatsoever, that is what is meant by a dead animal that is najis now having turned into a whole lot of maggots. The maggots are not najis. The maggots are eating on this dead animal. The maggots don't become najis. Okay, if you ever go like on YouTube and you go this kind of like time lapse, they have these kind of things, time lapse videos of decomposition, which is science, like you can see all these things. I showed my students before. So like a time lapse of decomposition. So they show like a full dead deer or something, and do like a time lapse, and they see how the deer decomposes and then maggots come out and then like all kinds of things until it becomes nothing there. So in the fiqh, this is called the animal turned into another animal. That the deer turned into maggots. That's what they mean. And by the animal turning into something else. Okay, inshallah we'll stop there for today. Then next week we continue with ways to remove najis. Allah. Naam. Okay. Let me just go into the questions. First question: how about non-alcoholic beers and wines that are currently in trend? Okay, non-alcoholic beers and wines, if your question is about najis, then they are not najis, because najis has to be alcohol, right? That's the first thing. Second part of the question is, can we drink them? Can we drink them? If the intention of drinking them is to imitate those who do drink alcohol and wine, that's haram. You cannot imitate haram, right? So if your intention is to imitate them, then don't do so. There's enough drinks out there to drink now. So you don't have to actually, have a desire for the haram, right? Even if it's fake, right? There shouldn't be a desire for it. If you use musk perfumes, it's from the pus of deer. Yeah. Musk is from the pus of deer, but it's not najis. It's tahir. It's clean. It's not najis. Have you ever realized that real musk is very sticky? Have you ever realized that? If you get musk from the attar, right, it's sticky. It's pus. It's basically pus. They're like, oh, but it's nice smelling, Of course, they have synthetic masks nowadays, right? But if you buy like real original mask, you can go online. How is mask, or where does mask come from? Go and search. Where does mask come from? And they will show you like a ball that is hairy. Is basically the growth on the deer. The deer garuk, he scratch his back or whatever, and then the ball falls off. then they cut the ball open and then they see inside pus, and it smells wonderful. It's musk. And you go and search online lah, where do they get musk? You'll find this thing, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, it's all for today. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, Muhammadin